I got to fight one of the new vault monsters in Borderlands 4 early, and I got to see the Moxxi's Encore machine in use, and this is what I learned. First, a huge thank you to 2K for flying me out to play this game early. Let me say that this entire section was set to level 20, and we were given the choice to play as Rafa or Vex. We got to switch between them too if we wanted, and either option that we chose already started with a fully spec'd out skill tree that we could only adjust the augments on. We had no options to respec whatsoever. Now that said, this content is fun. It's fast-paced combat versus very tough enemies. It feels almost like the True Maliwan takedown from Borderlands 3, but kind of like crossed with the maps from True Trials, the Proving Grounds from Borderlands 3 as well. There is a noticeable difficulty spike from Borderlands 3, and honestly, I think that's probably a good thing. One thing I'm not a fan of, however, are enemy modifiers. Now, I touched on this briefly in my other early access video, but there are, count them, 24 enemy modifiers that I saw in the early access. Most are not too obnoxious, and the ones that were are apparently being fine-tuned by Gearbox. Probably might even be already fixed by this point. Now, like I said in my other video, we were playing on an older build of the game. It was already almost a month old at the time that we got to play it, and by now they've likely fixed a lot of these issues that we've had, but I just want to bring it up again so that nobody forgets. Modifiers are some of the least popular mechanics from any of the Borderlands games, so I'm not sure why they keep bringing them back. In Borderlands 1, the Moxxi's Underdome had modifiers, and fans despised those. In Borderlands 2, Slag was essentially the be-all end-all modifier. In the pre-sequel, there were modifiers in the Mutator Arena, but those were actually some of the better done modifiers we've had in the franchise so far. And then, of course, in Borderlands 3, we had Mayhem Mode and a large selection of both good and negative modifiers. But luckily, they eventually made Mayhem 11 for Borderlands 3, which is identical to Mayhem 10, but without the modifiers, which honestly is the best way to play that game, in my opinion. From my hands-on, the only time that the modifiers were really problematic is with the Singularity modifier, but Gearbox has already said that they were going to fix that one, so hopefully these don't become an issue when we reach in-game. Also, while Birdman was playing, he went to a vending machine and actually got the complex root to pop up as a drop in the vendor. And yes, that's right, the complex root is returning from Borderlands 3. Anybody that hasn't played Borderlands 3 and doesn't know about the complex root, let me just explain this gun to you. This gun is essentially like the Pimpernel if the bullets just went like in crazy horizontal, vertical, diagonal patterns. It's a wild gun and it could be really, really good. The footage that you see of Birdman using it, this is actually early game and it does really seem to do some pretty good work, but it'll be interesting to see how this thing performs at end game. And it's nice to see that vendor legendaries are a thing again, and most likely not as common as Borderlands 3, but still definitely more common than Borderlands 2, which I think is a good thing, honestly. I definitely think that legendaries need to be balanced a little higher than Borderlands 2 in that regard. Rest Assured was able to capture footage of Horus, which is a story boss, actually appearing out in the wild as a just world spawning boss as well. So make sure you check out Rest Assured. Link to his channel is in the description below as well. So it looks like we'll probably have some of the story mode bosses appear as bosses out in the world. I hope that that doesn't mean that we're not going to have them as repeatable bosses in their arena, but it remains to be seen. I didn't actually get to test that while I was playing. As for the boss fight itself, this is a fun fight once you understand the mechanics of it. Now, I admittedly had some problems with the fight when I played as Rafa, and I foolishly decided to save quit and switch to Vex, not realizing how limited my time was with that section. So when I made it back to the boss as Vex, I ran out of time to kill it. However, my good buddy Birdman was nice enough to share his footage of the boss kill and its dedicated drop, the Husky Friend, which is a reference to the TV show Detroiters. So big thanks again to Birdman. A link to his channel is down in the description below so you can check him out. Now, the Husky Friend is a legendary Tediore weapon and it is turret based, but it seems like it probably needs a buff pre-launch as it didn't seem to do very well in combat. Also nice enough to share his footage, Moxxi got a legendary shield from this boss called the Traveler Extra Medium, which references a Peacock show called Girl 5 Eva. I don't know what that is. Unfortunately, he didn't get to use the shield in combat to test it though. Big shout out to Moxxi. Link to his channel is in the description also. Now, if both of these are dedicated drops, then I have some big concerns. Will loot pools be overcrowded again? Remember Hyperius and the Warrior and Bunker and Terramorphous and so many other bosses in Borderlands 2 that had these pools of like 5 to, however many items in them. Remember most named enemies in Borderlands 3? Multiple drops from every named enemy is generally not a good idea, but at least with Borderlands 3, they made the boss have a 30% drop chance if they had 3 items in their loot pool. That balanced out the overall drop rate to be about 10% per item. In Wonderlands, though, they made the same mistake of overcrowding loot pools and attaching loot luck as a requirement to increase even dedicated drop rates, causing everyone to hunt their gear from the bunnies at the end of the Chaos Chamber and ruining exploration of maps in the process. So my hope is that the shield was a world drop, but until we have more time with the game, we can't be sure. So if the developers see this, please, please, please make sure that you're spreading out loot pools. You can add in named enemies all over the place. We don't care. We love hunting them down and finding them. Just make sure that they have a guaranteed spawn location. Make sure they have a guaranteed drop and set it to 10 to 20% drop chance. And we're happy. We're so happy with that. After beating the boss, you also get 2 red chests, and Legacy Gaming lucked out and pulled this legendary pistol from one called the King's Gambit. The red text and name being a reference to Bobby Fischer, one of the greatest chess players of all time. Sadly, no footage of this gun in use was acquired. But again, big shout out to Legacy Gaming. Go check out their channel. Link is in the description below as well. But what we do have footage of is the Moxxi's Encore machine, a way to farm bosses without saving and quitting, allowing a full team of 4 players to refight the boss without disbanding and then rejoining. And yes, after each kill, the 2 red chests respawn as well, making this a nice farming spot for loot. Big thank you to Little Gas Mask for sharing his footage of this. So if this is what we have just for the vault bosses, which they sound like they're kind of like, a bunch of them, just based off of what Randy Pitchford had said, there's going to be a bunch of vault bosses and we can repeat them obviously. Then imagine if there are raid bosses in this game, because this boss fight had great mechanics. It had a active immune phase. I know everybody hears immune phase and they freak out. No, this was not like you can't do anything right now. What this thing does is it pods itself up and then you have to use your grapple, get up high and shoot the thing to bust him out of the pod. That's a fun immune phase in my opinion. You're doing something, you're fighting things, using your skills to do it. So I really enjoyed that. It kind of reminded me of the Wonderlands bosses that were the hidden raid bosses and how they had like certain mechanics that you had to figure out, and I really enjoyed those fights. So I'm pretty optimistic after this boss fight. I think the Gearbox has listened to our complaints about immune phases. I think that that's probably something that we're not going to see as much of in this game, and instead we'll get these active immune phases where we're doing something to end an immune phase, and I love that. Caster from Wonderlands was another really good example of a boss whose immune phase that you could interrupt just by shooting the orbs that he would have pulling into him. I think the Gearbox has listened in that regard. I hope that they've listened in terms of dedicated drops. I really enjoyed this boss fight, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this footage. Again, big shout out to Birdman, Moxxi, Lil Gas Mask, Rest Assured, and Legacy Gaming for sharing their footage with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon for more. And again, thanks to 2K for flying me out to San Francisco to play the game early. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for you guys to get hands-on with this game. Drops September 12th. Go ahead and wishlist it on Steam now. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.